put a very small amount. And some people were like, well, you don't get too much when you put a small amount. It's like, yes, you won't get too much when you put a small amount, but you're building a very good habit that sticks with you for the long term, and you can actually pass on to the next generation. Looking at zoning into that example as well. Well, newborn baby, are you going to teach them how to invest if you don't know how to invest? Are you going to teach them the right attitudes around that? So all those things are key things people kind of don't really zone into when they want to start investing. Start with your $10. If you have $10, go for it. $10 every month, before you know it, you start building on that.
Welcome, everybody, back to another exciting show. I'm your host, Anthony Weaver, which is the host of the About That Water podcast, where we help the sandwich generation build strong financial habits so that they can talk about money, spend money, and enjoy their money with confidence. Today, I have somebody who has done great things for the financial community, especially for everyday people like you and I. He is a financial planner, CFA charter holder, and the founder of CFV Advisor. So welcome to the show, Victor. How are you doing?
I am doing amazing, Anthony. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And to make sure so everybody can understand, is Victor Idoko?
Correct.
Sweet. I'll try my best on these names. It's great.
Doing well. So there's a little bit of a interesting one now, but yeah.
So the main thing about the sandwich generation that a lot of people have is really trying to find the money when everything is so tight. Everybody's having their hand out and we just don't know where to go. What would be your advice to somebody who just having a brand new baby and finding out that their mom is sick? What would you do?
Yeah, so that's a tough one right there. I think in such situations is always one, just doing what you can and kind of not panicking. I think one of the big things straight away is people kind of go into panic mode and you're not able to find solutions. So that's one, don't panic, do what you can. A second thing as well is get people around you that may have gone through the same thing. There'll be definitely people around who have had a baby or had your mom sick, and what did they do? Were there any government benefits? Were there any areas of finance they were able to use, or were they able to speak to other, banks or professionals to help them? So I think that's another interesting thing, because people would tend to lose lots of the benefits they could get if, they only just spoke to someone or, were a little bit more vulnerable with things. And I always tell people as well, and this doesn't help the situation, but it definitely helps people plan for the situation. That situation is 90% going to happen in the future for someone that wants kids and has a family. You're going to have that time where baby is sick and, mom is sick, or new baby just arrived and mom's sick. It's like, what you got to do? So you have to plan ahead. And that's why, putting things away initially and early on before any of this happens is quite important. We always talk about saving for the known unknowns. Okay. And the known unknowns, we know these things will happen. We just don't know when they're going to happen. Okay. So that's one thing I'll definitely get people to think about before it happens, because if it happens and you're in the situation, then it's very hard to do anything. While as you plan ahead, you put dollars aside before then, you'll be in a good situation.
Okay. Having that understanding of like where we are today, a lot of people are really trying to start their own business. And I know you're international. I mean, to the US for most of my audience, so by you being in another country, how has it been seen from the US perspective of like, handling finances? Has there been like a big difference between the two different countries, or?
And so, to be honest, there's not too much difference of money management anywhere in the world. Okay. So, for example, I grew up in Nigeria. I've been in Australia for 17 years. I speak to lots of people in the US as well. The only difference, or where, things really get technical, is just the strategies of the tax laws. Other than that, it's the same. Like the mindset you use towards money, the approach you use towards setting up a business, setting up yourself for the future, saving, investing is the same. Okay. So it's just the tax laws that will be different. And even with those differences, you can still invest with the basics you have and still, be ahead. So I'd say it's generally just the tax laws, and everyone should be doing the basics, or have certain financial mindsets to get ahead and stay ahead.
Okay. And one of the things that you talked about is helping people build wealth. What strategies do you use to kind of help people build wealth?
Yeah. So that's another interesting one, which this can be applied universally. And part of that is saving and investing. It's just
Right.
a very simple, simple initial strategy. Okay. Now, by the time you build enough wealth and you can get professionals involved, they then come in with all these other strategies and all this technical knowledge that you didn't know you could use to build wealth. So, but some of the rules or some of the ways to build wealth across different countries is something called tax deferral, tax loss harvesting, because in most of the Western world you pay taxes, so you want to kind of pay as little as you can, so you can defer your taxes, you can harvest some losses, and it applies exactly the same way in the States as well. So in terms of building wealth, basic starts with saving and investing. You can't really build wealth if you're not saving and if you're not investing. Going back to that situation you gave about the new baby and mom is sick, if you didn't plan for that, in that scenario you're not going to be able to build wealth. You're probably going to be spending some of the wealth you've built before now. Okay, so planning, saving, investing, definitely crucial. And I think one of the things that deters people from investing, because saving it's a personal thing. If you're not saving, you need to look for ways to cut down. You need to look for ways to earn money. I think those two things should always be things you strive to get every time, and a little bit more money and save a little bit more every time. Yeah, but one thing that deters people from investing is they think they need a lot. They think they need a lot of money to start investing. It's like, no, you don't need a lot of money to start investing. These days with ETFs, index funds and all that, you can put a very small amount. And some people were like, well, you don't get too much when you put a small amount. It's like, yes, you won't get too much when you put a small amount, but you're building a very good habit that sticks with you for the long term, and you can actually pass on to the next generation. Looking at zoning into that example as well. Well, newborn baby, are you going to teach them how to invest if you don't know how to invest? Are you going to teach them the right attitudes around that? So all those things are key things people kind of don't really zone into when they want to start investing. Start with your $10. If you have $10, go for it. $10 every month, before you know it, you start building on that. And yes, it gives you financial confidence, financial clarity, financial peace of mind that can be measured.
So do you have like a step-by-step process to kind of help people gain that financial clarity to kind of start thinking about their wealth in the long term?
Yeah, we can do a crash course on that now. So
Let's
I
go
think
for it.
first thing is what are you earning? What are you spending? You need to know those things, and it would never be perfect, because in a month you might have to pay your electricity bill. The other month you don't have to. I don't know how it is in the States, but in Australia it's every quarter. So if it's paid every quarter, it doesn't pop up every month. Okay. But the thing is, you need to know what you're spending roughly every time. And you need to have a good gauge saying, okay, well, and I'll use rough numbers. So it's like, well, I get 1,000, I spend 900, I have 100. So I can save 100. So you can start investing half of that at least, and then you do that over a year. And if you're going back to those two other things that I said, trying to always save more, trying to always earn more, before you know it, in a year's time, you're earning 1,100. Now you can save, 250. And that's the step for saving and then putting some away from investing. Now, for investing is choosing a platform. What platform can you use to invest your money? There are lots of platforms out there these days. So in this crash course, we're not going to talk about platforms, but just choose one. Like I said, you're building the habit. So as long as you choose one and then you just start putting that money, before you know it, by the time you do this for 1-2 years, and you get into circles where you're talking about investing, before you know, you hear the best platforms out there. It's like, okay, cool. You move to that best platform, and all of a sudden you're investing and you're saving. I know to me it's very simple, but to people out there, they're like, oh, those steps, but those are basically the steps to start investing.
That is awesome. And where does insurances come into play when they start to building that wealth strategy? Is that more of a legacy protection, or is that something that you kind of recommend people doing now?
Yeah, very good questions. With protection is when you're still working, and look, most of people are still kind of working, You need to protect your most valuable asset, which is your human capital, your ability to earn. Your ability to earn gives you that $1,000 that I said. It gives me $1 million, whatever it is, and it applies to everyone still earning. Gives you that figure that you're earning. Now, if you can't work, you don't get that figure. So you need to protect your ability to work, because that ability will give you money to save, it will give you money to invest, it will give you money for your house, or, that nice car, whatever you want. It comes from your ability to earn. Protecting that is very important. Now, very few people don't need to protect that. And very few people that they've saved and invested enough that if they couldn't work, they're going to get enough money from the investment. So you're fine. Like, they're all good. You just walk in because they love it, or they don't want to be bored, whatever it is. So now with those people now, protection might then be more of a legacy and estate planning tool. Okay. So, but generally both groups, well, the first group need it. The second group is more about planning. If it fits within their estate plan or the future plan for their loved ones.
Okay. So how soon should we start looking into our estate planning? Because you mentioned that a little bit. I just wanted to.
Yeah. No, it's a good one as well. So estate planning is quite important, because just segments of estate planning that are very important. For example, and I'm pretty sure it will be the same in the States as well. There's something called an enduring power of attorney. So in other words, it's just giving someone the legal right to make decisions on your behalf if you couldn't. Okay. So something like that is part of your estate planning. It's really important because, touch wood, hopefully not, or by God's grace not, if someone went into a coma and, and they couldn't function for 6 months, what happens to your finances? What happens to, your world? You need someone to make those decisions for you, because after that, if you come back after 6 months and then nothing has been made, you're not in the best position. So that key part of estate planning is needed as soon as possible. Now, depending, because I know in the States, in the US, each state has their own laws and everything. So depending on that and how they treat money when you pass, that will then relate or tie to the importance. Okay. So for example, in some Western countries, the government can be your executor and then help with stuff if you pass, and they take a certain percentage. For people that don't want the government taking a certain percentage, you need to get your will and all that put in place ASAP. So that is very dependent. But for that enduring power of attorney, someone to act on your behalf, to me, that's really important from as soon as you start working, as soon as you're independent, as soon as you're 18. But look, most people don't have the funds or the knowledge to go do that when you're 18. So I'll say as soon as you have the knowledge for that, you go do it.
Sounds good. Yeah, because a lot of times we just don't know if we have any assets or anything like that. And just starting early, it seems to be the best way as you build the asset to start having it formulated, really, just to kind of see like, hey, I really do need to start writing down my passwords, because you never know.
Yeah, very important. So, and it will change from time to time as well, and over the course of your life. You might be in a relationship with someone, and that person is then your power of attorney, or know your passwords and everything. But later on, it then changes, right? Because you need to give that if you're not in that relationship again. So it might be a sibling initially, it might be a good friend. So all that really changes from time to time. So important to zone into that.
Okay. So what got you into going down a rabbit hole of the CPA? Because we know that's a 4-exam process and you got to get it all done within 2 years. Like, what made you take on that particular challenge?
Okay. So, sorry, I'll just confirm a few things there. So I have the CFA.
Oh, the CFA.
CFA, and I have the CFP. So those are different. But yes, rabbit hole of studies in general was, look, I like knowledge. The good thing about finance is you learn something, you can apply it straight away, So, and because I deal with lots of clients, I just wanted to be able to help them to the best of my ability every time. So yeah, for example, the CFA was 3 intense exams. I think each exam was about 6 hours. Okay.
Oof.
Yeah. And then it's funny because they just give you the material. They're like, here you go, see your exam day. So no coaching, no studies. And the books are like this big. So I was like, oh.
What?
But yeah, look, I loved it. I like challenging myself. from time to time. So I loved it because I learned a lot. It was probably one of the CFA was definitely the hardest thing I've done. Well, study wise, because generally I'm a broad brush kind of person. I'm a high level, big picture, and I think
Yeah.
that's like I'm good at planning. And when it came down to the minute details, I always needed someone to help, and hence why I have a team now. They do all that, which is great. So big brush is going, and yes, okay. But the CFA, I needed to really understand, okay, the minute details, which I think was just another asset I added to my own personal human capital as well. So love that. So that was about 3 levels. CFP was 5 levels as well. That was a little bit easier.
Yeah. In comparison.
Yeah, in comparison. But look, I did them because I could apply the knowledge. I could help people more. And I did do it really early before I got out of the time in my life where I didn't have kids and stuff. So yeah, so now it's good. It was good.
So now that you have kids, wife
Nah,
too?
yeah, sorry.
You don't know that yet? Okay.
No, not yet, but I'm ready. So I'm ready to
Okay.
go.
You married at least?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? I start with marriage first, then kids, right? So, but no,
Right.
I really want to get all that stuff out because it just took a lot of my time. Like I was busy 7 days.
Wow.
So yeah.
No, but also you transitioned from one country to a whole nother country. Like, did you have the business before you went to the new country from Nigeria over?
I've only had the business for 5 years now. So
Okay.
yeah, and I've been working in the profession for been working in the finance profession for about 13 years. Moved from Australia 17 years ago. So, but the last 17 years, literally, I've been studying. So I am officially done. So,
Okay.
done
So now
studying.
that you're officially done, how was it just transitioning from country to country? Because some people even afraid to even just move to another country and get alone, keep your finances intact. So what was that like for you?
Yeah. So, honestly, at that point in time, it felt easy. I wasn't worried about anything. I think I was more looking forward to the adventure of just going to a new country, getting my teeth stuck into things and, just trying to be a better person in that regard. So it didn't feel too much of a move then. In hindsight, obviously it was a big move. The night before I moved, my whole family was emotional. I was crying, my mom was crying, and
Oh,
everything was just going down that way. So hindsight, yeah, glad I moved. It's there are lots of opportunities out here, and I'm happy I came here. So yeah, look, to people that want to do it, is yeah, give it a go. You always regret the things you didn't do versus the ones you did.
right. Because also being black and moving around in different countries, I'm sure you had your issues going through that process. So what was your biggest adversity?
Yeah, funny you say that. I think people were more concerned than me. Maybe I just have an attitude with stuff like that. Because yeah, people did say, "Oh, how am I going to cope?" I was like, "I don't know. I'll be fine. Just get out there and do what you have to, and that's it." So I think I grew up in a family where they always encouraged you to do the best you can and not worry about things you can't control. And so I think I always just use that attitude for stuff. I think one of my biggest concerns then about being black came when I had start the business. I was like, a Nigerian man running a financial planning company. How is that gonna fly?
Right. You got the
So,
Nigerian prince.
yeah, pretty much. I was like, oh, the Nigerian prince running, financial planning. It's like, oh, you're not gonna get clients, mate. But yeah, no, and I was like, well, hell no, I don't think that way. And yeah, I just was just zoning. So I think that was the only time I can think in my life that I had doubt of something, and it was related to where I grew up and stuff. So
That is awesome that you had that opportunity. I mean, one, to just kind of that your family embedded that particular mindset of just like do it,
yeah,
because a lot of people have the discernment, which is like, why
yeah,
go?
yeah.
Don't go.
Yeah, and I honestly think it's a huge blessing. So, as I get older, I kind of realize how that's a huge blessing, because if I wasn't getting that support, comfort, encouragement from my parents to just do stuff, I probably wouldn't be the same person, because, you know, someone tells you, someone close to you and someone you care about and someone, in a strong position in your life tells you can't do stuff, you can't do stuff, you can't do stuff, you're going to start thinking you can't do it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, someone tells you in your life you can do stuff, you can do stuff, you can do better, you can be the best version of yourself. All of a sudden, it's like, yeah, I can. So yeah, I'm very, very, very grateful for them and that in my life. So
That's awesome. Because a lot of times we don't get that. I don't say a lot of times. I'll say some of us didn't get that growing up because the parents were doing multiple tasks, either working multiple jobs, and then when they get home, they tired. Like, look, why isn't this done? Why isn't that done? Instead of just asking, like, hey, how was your day? You know?
yeah. So my mom was I call her super mom. So she was super busy as well. She worked full time, ran a business, kind of ran and took care of the household. My dad was a soldier, so he was kind of away most of the time just doing army work. So, but she still had the time to encourage us. She still had the time to, give us that, I would say, a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of mindset shift every now and again. I think she was very intentional about that. She still did come home and say, why have you done this? Why haven't you done this? Still did do that,
As she said, right?
My mom was a tough mom, but okay, funny. Then she was a tough mom. Now she's like the softest thing ever. But she did have that. So I encourage people to do that for the kids. That's one thing that I know straight away that I've always planned. How am I going to do that? Even if I'm busy. If I'm not busy, then yeah, like, obviously I have the time. But once that come, you need to do that. And sometimes it's not dependent on what you're showing, because what my mom was showing me then was just hard work. We had nothing, but she believed that I could be the best of the best in the world. So it's like, well, and I believe that too, because she's instilled that in me for a long time. So parents shouldn't think that, or just anyone shouldn't think because the situation looks a certain way now, it can change over time. But that time takes time.
Yes.
But you need the right mindset. If not, you're not going to do stuff. Like if I didn't have the right mindset, then when I had that doubt, I wouldn't have started business. Just that simple. Yeah.
So how was it now that you got the business? Have you then went back to mom and you're like, hey, mom, like I went to all this school. Show me your money. Like, how was that?
Yeah. So, look, I try to see parents every year. So, but yeah. Look, we talk a lot. I still run, I would say, tough conversations through my mom, or well, I don't say tough conversations, soft situations. It might just be because they have I always tell my parents, and they don't like this when I say this, but they know I'm right. Which is funny. I'm like, yeah, you're wiser than me, but I don't think you're more knowledgeable than me. Okay. So I still go get that wisdom from them. Look, they've experienced life. And sometimes experienced life is just seeing loved ones go through tough times, seeing loved ones pass away, seeing loved ones go from, being so rich to so poor. They've seen lots of that than me. They just have that wisdom in life. So I still go to them when I know I need wisdom. Knowledge got in lots of places these days. But wisdom, you need someone that has that and is wise, I guess. Yeah.
So we're going to slide over to the features a little bit because talking about being wise and this notion of having AI at our fingertips, how has that actually improved or really been a detriment to your business?
Yeah, so I've definitely looked at excuse me. I've looked at it as an advantage. Okay. So I've just been able to, summarize, I say, big documents a lot quicker for me, so it's just helping me be a better professional. I think the way someone put it the other day is just having that research assistant, executive assistant, just having that at the tip of your fingers every time. Because I think one of the things with new things that come out, it depends on how you use it. Okay. And I'll use social media as an example. Or in fact, now I'll use back home a few years ago, having data was such a thing, data for your mobile. Okay. You always ran out of data because it's a third world
I remember those days.
It's a third world country and people just didn't have enough. So, but I watched this thing once and it talks about how are you using your data? How are you using the information? Because you can be using the information in ways that benefit you. I can be using the information that ways that are giving fun to your life. It just depends on how you use it. And it's the same for AI, right? It's how are you going to use it? And for me, it's using it to make myself and my business more efficient, more valuable to people around us. So I think it's a huge blessing. There are always downsides to everything. So it might take some of the current jobs now, but new jobs will be out there. Like the other day I was speaking to someone who does AI ethics. I was like, oh, AI
Yeah,
ethics.
I
Right. Okay.
interviewed somebody that does that. She's a professor at New York University, and that's what she teaches is AI ethics.
Yeah. So I'd never heard about that until a few weeks ago. So I was like, AI ethics? I was like, yeah. And then this person was like, she runs a business on AI ethics.
I didn't know it was a full business around. I just thought it was just research.
Yeah, no, and it makes sense, right? Because some big companies or just people might be wondering, okay, well, what are the ethics we should be teaching the team to use this? How should they use it? Should you use it in ways to bring down people by planning and scheming? Just stuff. Yeah, so I think it makes sense. Yeah.
That is interesting because even with this platform that I'm recording on, which is Riverside, which I'll put a link down below if anybody want to sign up for Riverside, is that when they did like they have the option where I can actually make us look like puppets and we having this talk.
Yeah.
But they couldn't match my beard together. I'm like, how y'all not get my beard together? So the puppet got like a patch right here missing, half beard here, and just like missing everything else. And I was like, that is
give them 3 months, 6 months. You're gonna have your beard.
Yeah, I told him like, look, I wouldn't mind signing up to be a case study, like just to help out, like, because I have unique hair, I guess, with the mohawk in the back. But let me be a case study. Like, that might be another venture too. If a company can actually look into like, hey, we notice that AI is lacking in these areas, but we need faces or we need bodies, and just kind of like, hey, we'll slide you a couple dollars or $100 or so just to kind of train our AI models.
Yeah.
Are you willing to sign up?
Yeah. So lots of opportunities for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way we're going.
We have no choice.
Right. Is there anything you want to leave the audience before we get to the final 4 questions?
So the only thing I'll say, I've written a book called 7 Basic World Strategies. So that's out there on Amazon. 7 things are very relevant wherever you are in the world. One of them just talks about retirement, which I kind of used the Australian example, but it's the same in terms of dollars wise. So encourage people to check it out. Yeah, so I do a lot as well. So, but that's the only thing I'll say for now.
Okay. Ready? Well, you ready for the final 4?
Yes, I am.
Alrighty. So the final 4 questions, for those of you who are new, is about the final 4 questions where we get to dive into rapid fire about the person and their mindset around finances. Okay. So, number 1, what does wealth mean to you?
Opportunity, tools.
Okay. Number 2, what was your worst money mistake?
Oh, that's a big one. I'll say buying an apartment. I'm actually very happy about this because I haven't made too many money mistakes, which is good. So, but look, even that is not a mistake. But yeah.
Oh, yeah, I like it. Number 3, is there a book that inspired your journey or changed your perspective?
Oh my God, so many books. Great, Think and Grow Rich, Presence, so many. So, but Think and Grow Rich.
Nice. You did Think and Grow Rich, the Black choice or the original?
What's the Black choice?
Yeah, I have a lot of books available. Think and Grow Rich, the Black choice is with Dennis Kimbrough and Napoleon Hill.
Okay. Yeah. I've read the other one. And sorry, I'll say a little bit about this, but the other one, I think I love the other one. I haven't read this one. I'll probably read it as well. But the other one, that's the one. Yeah. So.
Okay.
It's very masculine centric, but I still encourage the ladies to read it and think about it from the female perspective, because I think it's still the same. It still applies, but he was talking obviously in the man's context. Subtly, he didn't say man's context, but yeah. So I still think it's a great book. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Number 4, what is your favorite dish to make?
I haven't cooked in a while.
So lucky.
Yeah. So, okay, back then it would have been Japanese curry.
Japanese curry?
Yeah, I loved some Japanese curry.
I never heard of it. What's in Japanese curry?
It's just a little bit thicker than your normal curry, and then you usually have like potatoes in there with meat, and then you have it with rice. I love Japanese curry. Yeah.
Okay, I can see that difference.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
used to regular curry. That's all. So this is the very last question of the show, which is where could people find out more about you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. I think we started making a few YouTube videos as well. So trying to build those channels. I think before now I was doing lots of studies, didn't have so much time. So now it's just sharing that knowledge, getting people to think the right way, have the right mindset with finances. So my handle on Instagram is I am Victor Idoko. Just I am my full name. And on LinkedIn it's just Victor Idoko, and on YouTube, the channel is called Elevate Your Wealth.
Perfect. Yeah, I just subscribed to your channel, by the way. So let's go and get your numbers up. And for those of you who are listening to this particular episode, go ahead on and go over to YouTube, go on and subscribe. Because I noticed that a lot of you are listening but haven't subscribed on the YouTube channel, so you can actually watch it in multiple places, so you don't miss out. And I want to thank you again, Victor, just for coming through. You know, it's been, a long time coming, obviously working back and forth with the telecom, so we're going to make this work.
Yeah. Thanks for having me as well. It's been an amazing show.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much. And thank you again, everybody, for taking a listen. Y'all be safe. We out. Peace.